Hey, what's up everybody? Adobe Masters here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to highlight certain aspects of your video. This is good for using in tutorial videos where things are maybe a little bit small. So for example, if I were to do it in one of my videos, maybe it would look something like this. Like when you're going in for trying to go into typing, you might play this and zoom it in and then sort of show someone where something is a little bit better. This is especially good thing to do if you know that your audience is mainly on things like mobile devices like iPhones, as it'll allow them to see it a little bit clearer on their smaller screen size. Reason I don't do it typically on my video is it does take a little bit of extra time, and since I like to put out a lot of different content on a lot of different areas, I need to save time wherever I can, and also because I notice that a lot of my audience is actually watching from a computer, so it would be almost a little bit unnecessary in a lot of cases. So sometimes it'll work for your content, sometimes it won't, but let's get started on the tutorial. So what you want to do is you want to have your tutorial or you want to have your video basically anywhere that you want. So we can go in here and we can just remove the keyframes back like so. And all it is going to be is a little animation and then using of an effect right here, which is going to be the magnify effect. Let's go ahead and remove that. And then so this is all we start off with. We start off with a piece of footage that is, you want to highlight something. And let's move to a different point in the video where we might need to highlight something. So let's look around and sort of just find something that, might look like we want to sort of change around a little bit. So for example, if we're going over here on the left side, we might want to zoom in on one of the changes on the left side over here. So like, let's say that when we go down to that uniform scale box, that we want to show that's the button we want to hit right there. So to make this a little bit clear, what we can do is we can move to right before we sort of click on it and then actually go up into the scale of this and then the position as well, because we might need to reframe it once we scale it up. So create 2 keyframes on that, then move forward maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so and zoom it in. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to move it over so we can actually see it, and you want to make sure you don't go off the edge like that. So like right to there. And so now we have just a basic animation, something that you can do relatively quickly, and we can show the person, that button you're going to click, and then let's say that that's it. So we'll actually create another keyframe right here, move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then bring this back to 100. And we can use this to jump backwards so that we can create another keyframe here. And then we can jump forwards to where that one ended. And if we click the default, it'll go back to where it started at. So all we did was, let me zoom this in so we can kind of see this a little bit better. All we did was create a sort of an in and an out point here. So the in point is where it's going to, so this is, everything is normal. Start the transition, move into a zoomed location, show the zoom, start the transition out, finish the transition out. And so now we have just this little zoom in right here. What I would typically do if I needed to do something like this in a video is I would like to add something, a little bit on top of that. And that's the magnify, to sort of show what you want to, enunciate right here. So if we drag the magnify effect onto our footage, we can drag this over so we can see it a little bit better again. We can actually go down here and click on this shape button. And you'll see that this sort of crosshair will appear and there'll be this weird edge here. And that's because it's actually zooming in. So we can move this over to this point. We can change this to, let's say, a square in this situation. Zoom it right in where we want to. We can change the size if we want as well. So like up here, down here. And we could even, if we wanted a rectangle, you can make a big square and then click the mask button. And you can mask out the edges so that it's a rectangle instead of a square. So let's bring that down. Let's just sort of bring it to maybe, definitely don't want it that big. Want to like sort of really do that. Bring the magnification up. And then now what we want to do is we want to transition this in. So we want to go back to this point right here. If we click on this button, it'll jump to there. We want to turn the magnification. You can either do the opacity or the magnification at this point. 100 will be a normal magnification, or 0% will not show the effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do the magnification. So we're going to click on this. That's going to create a keyframe. Let's jump over here, create another one, and now we can actually go back. And since that one's saved over there, we can hit the reset button here. And so now it's going to save it right like so. And its actually default is to magnify, so we don't actually want to use the default here. What we want to do is type in 100% so it doesn't do anything. And then now what it'll do, it will transition up and it'll just zoom in a little bit as well. So it just gives you that little sort of box, that little additional zoom, so you can see exactly what is being aimed on. Then we go over here and we do the exact opposite. Drop a keyframe. If we want it to be on the exact same over here, jump to that keyframe line, bring this back up to 100%. And so now we have this neat little effect right here. So it zooms in, shows you something important, that happens, zooms out, back to the normal sort of video. So that's a great way to enunciate a sort of a type of video. And you can also do like a little highlight on it as well if you want to like really sort of show off something. So we could add another step, and that is actually what we're going to do is we're going to go up to File, New, and then we're going to create a new color mat. And then I'm going to click OK on that, and we can choose any color we want, but I'm going to go with yellow here. And let's name it highlight. Click OK. And then we can drag the highlight onto this location. You can see it's going to be, giant and cover everything. So what we're going to do is actually hide it for a second. We're going to let it zoom in. And then what we want to do is we're going to click on this button right here. We're going to go to the mask of this. So we're going to click on the highlight. We're going to click on the mask. And let's draw it right around this box right here. Now, if we bring the opacity down of the overall sort of thing here, so which is right here, so if I turn this on, it's just going to be like that. Now if I bring this opacity down, like so, to maybe like right there, and then if we could feather maybe the edges off a little bit more, maybe the opacity even like 2, maybe we want to rework this, the mask a little bit, maybe a circle would look better, but you can actually create a highlight from just this. So if we turn on the opacity right here, so it's going to be 2%, move backwards to sort of right there, and then bring it at 0%. It'll come in as highlighting, and you'll see that it actually moves through this. So maybe instead of it starting here, maybe we want to grab these keyframes and move it so that it only happens once it's already zoomed in, so there isn't that sort of drag across that it has. So now we can sort of highlight this area, and if we click on the mask, we can bring this down and maybe really just highlight the button here. Somehow an extra point was created there, but we'll work with it. Get this to actually look like a square a little bit. Won't spend too much time on this. Okay, so it's a little bit bad, but you get the point of what you can do with this sort of highlight right here. You can also sort of accent this part of the video and have just sort of a point of where you should look in the video. And then you just want to do the inverse of the back, so have it fade out before you zoom back out. But that is just some quick tips on how you might sort of accent a video, how you would show an important part of a video. Understand that anytime you zoom in, you will lose quality unless you're working with a higher quality piece of footage. Like let's say you had 2.7K or 4K and you're working in a 1080p sequence. If you're working with 1080p footage in a 1080p sequence, when you zoom in, there's no data there available for it to sort of fill in the gaps with. So what you're going to have is a little bit of a blurrier video, but sometimes that's okay if you're just trying to quickly show something, then zoom back out. Thanks everyone for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below on our website at adobemasters.net. If you'll see more videos similar to this one, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I make a video every other day on Adobe related products. And until next time guys, see ya.